In this video, I will explain Scenario Manager and Goal Seek function, which are key component of what if analysis feature in Microsoft Excel. First, I will discuss Scenario Manager. For Scenario Manager, I'll be using this data which has these variables. First, we have fixed cost, variable cost per unit, quantity sold, price per unit, and profit. For profit calculation, we use this formula: revenues minus fixed cost minus total variable cost. And for revenue, multiply unit price by quantity and then subtract fixed cost, and total variable cost is variable cost per unit multiplied by quantity. Scenario Manager analyzes different sets of data or assumptions and helps to make better decisions. I'll be using these commands. First, select data, and then in Data tab, click on What If Analysis. In What If Analysis, the very first option is Scenario Manager. So click on Scenario Manager. We need to create three scenarios: a worst case scenario, best case scenario, and optimum scenario. So I will create here three scenarios. The first one is, let me call it best scenario. By changing cells, I want to change these cells, which include fixed cost, variable cost, quantity, and price per unit. Profit is not included. And then click on OK. It shows us all our variables. The first one is fixed cost. For fixed cost, currently it is $10,000. But for best case scenario, let's say we are able to reduce our fixed cost to $7,000. Then variable cost, suppose we are able to reduce variable cost to $10. Then quantity sold, imagine we are able to double this quantity, 2000. And then price, we are able to make price 55. Now I will add it. So that was the first scenario. The next scenario would be worst case scenario. We'll be dealing with same cells, B3 to B6. Now in this case, fixed cost, because this is a worst case scenario, so assume our fixed cost increases and becomes double. Currently it's 10,000, suppose it becomes 20,000. And then variable cost also increases. Currently it's 15, suppose it becomes double. Quantity sold, suppose we are able to sell only 500 units. And price, we have to reduce price to $35. Click on add, and then we will add one more scenario which will be optimum. We will be dealing with the same cells, and in this case, assume fixed cost becomes 9,000, variable cost becomes $13, quantity sold becomes 1500, and price becomes 48. This scenario is closer to the current one, and click on OK. Here we have three scenarios: best case, worst case, and optimum. Now in the last step, we will develop a summary. So click on summary. Our results are in this cell, which is profit, which is B7, and then click on OK. This shows four scenarios. This one is current, this one is best case scenario, worst case scenario, and optimum. This is the current one. This is best case, whereby we are able to reduce our fixed cost from 10,000 to 7,000. We are also able to reduce variable cost from 15 to 10, and we are able to sell more units from 10,000 to 2,000. We are also able to increase price from 50 to 55. That would give a profit of $83,000. In the worst case scenario, our fixed cost increases. Initially it is 10,000, but now it becomes 20,000. Our variable cost also increases, which is undesirable. We don't want that. Initially it was 15, now it becomes 20. Initially we were able to sell 1,000, but now in the worst case scenario, we are able to sell only half the number of units, only 500. And we also have to reduce price. Now that scenario would result in a loss of 12,500 because this is a negative quantity. In the optimum scenario, which is very close to current scenario, we are able to reduce our fixed cost by 1,000. So initially it was 10,000 and we are able to make it 9,000. We are also able to slightly reduce our variable cost from 15 to $13. We are also able to slightly increase our sale from 1,000 to 1,500, and we are able to reduce price by $2 from 50 to 48, and that optimum scenario would result in a profit of 43,500. The advantage of Scenario Manager is that it helps us to compare and evaluate different scenarios. We can see currently our profit is 25,000. What would happen if everything goes in our favor, which means the best case scenario? What would happen in the worst case? The next topic is goal seek function. For goal seek function, I'll be using this data. This is the formula for profit calculation. The formula is also displayed here. The goal seek function is used to find the input value needed to achieve a specific goal. Currently, profit is $25,000, but we want to increase our profitability to $30,000. And then we have to see where we can make changes. Is it possible to make a change in a fixed cost? If yes, how much? Can we change variable cost to make a profit of 30,000? Can we sell more quantity? Can we increase price to make a profit of $30,000? So for this purpose, I will copy this data, paste it in this cell. Now our first option is that we want to see if we have to increase our profit to 30,000, and our option is that we only want to change fixed cost, how much it needs to be changed. And for that purpose, we go to data, and in what if analysis, the second option is goal seek. Click on goal seek, and here we have these three inputs. The first one is set cell. Set cell is the cell containing the formula whose result you want to adjust to a specific value. So in this case, this is the one that's containing formula for profit, and we want to change it to 30,000. In set cell, this one, and we want to change it to 30,000. And then by changing cell, in the first case, we want to change only fixed cost. So by changing only fixed cost, so this is fixed cost. And then I will click on OK. But before I click OK, what I'm expecting that when I click OK, I'm expecting this will turn 30,000. And this one will also change. Other things, variable cost would remain same, quantity would remain same, price per unit would remain same, only fixed cost will change because that's what I have specified in the input. So I will click on OK, and it shows that if you want to increase your profit to 30,000, then fixed cost needs to be reduced to $5,000. Let's explore other option about changing variable cost. So I will copy paste our original data here in this cell. We want to change only variable cost. We do not want to change fixed cost. We do not want to change quantity. We do not want to change price. And we want to increase our profit to 30,000 by changing variable cost. Click on data and what if analysis and goal seek. And then it says set cell. Set cell is the one that's containing our formula or objective. And we want to change it to 30,000 by changing cell, which is variable cost. So this time we only want to change this one, and let's see what happens. And when I will click on OK, everything else would remain the same. Profit will become 30,000 and variable cost will change. So this shows that in order to make a profit of 30,000, you need to reduce variable cost to $10. Now another scenario would be, how about changing quantity? I will copy this data from here and paste it here. Now in this case, we only want to change quantity, and we want to increase profit to 30,000 by changing quantity. So I will click on data, what if analysis, goal seek. It says set cell. Set cell is the one that's containing our formula or objective, and we want to change it to 30,000 by changing cell quantity. So this is quantity 1000, and if I click OK, it says that if you want to increase profit to 30,000 and everything else remains constant, only quantity is to be increased, then that quantity would be 1143 units. And our last scenario will be changing price. I will copy this original data to this column. Click on data, And what if analysis, goal seek, we want to set cell is the one that's containing our formula, and we want to change it to 30,000 because that's what our question says. And by changing cell, this time we are going to change price. So here is the price. So I will change price and click OK. And it shows that if you want to increase profit to 30,000 by changing only price, everything else remains constant, then you need to increase price by $5 to make it $55. The primary utility of the goal seek function is that it allows us to explore various options by adjusting different variables to identify the best solutions.